Hey everyone, and welcome to the third part of the Performance Kit tutorial. If you remember, in the first two parts we went ahead and created some melodic sounds, and that left us with something that sounds like this. So in this part we're going to take those sounds and to them add some drums, and that will get us a full kit where we can actually start playing with some sounds. So this will be a little less involved than the work we did in the first two parts. So it's going to be a little bit of a nice break. So let's go ahead and get started here. The first thing that you want to do is select some drum samples, and you can get these from any source that you so desire. If you have some nice third-party expansion packs or sample collections, you can use those. If you like the sound of any of the Maschine expansion packs, you can go ahead and use those. It all depends on what you're feeling. So find some samples that suit the mood of your kit, and you can go ahead and create a group of those collections. And so here I have a couple different sounds. I have a kick, just a basic sort of deep sounding kick there, and then I have some snare sounds. And I actually want to go ahead and layer these, so that'll be one part of this video. And then I have a closed hi-hat and a clap sound. So any drums that you want to use in your kit, you can go ahead and either load them up directly into your performance kit, or if you want to do some effects or layering, you can go ahead and load them into a separate group. So here is my collection. I'm going to go ahead and start by bringing the kick over into the performance kit. This kick sounds fine to me. I could do some effects on top of it, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. So I could have loaded it directly into the kit. Alternatively, since it's here, I can go ahead, press the duplicate button, press the kick drum, go over to my performance kit, and then press the pad where I want the kick to be on. So simple as that. I have my kick drum over there, pretty easy, and it doesn't need much time explaining. Now for the snare drums, this is going to be a bit of a project. So like I said, I have three different samples, sort of a low snare, a higher snare, and then this clap sounding whatever to give some crunch to that layer. So I'm going to start here by linking these all together with the pad link option. So that is located under the pad mode button up here. Going to enter that, and let's put all these in group number 1. So now that we have these all playing together, let's go ahead and do some mixing and some effects to get these sounding as we want. So I'm going to go into the mixer to shift and sampling, make sure I'm on the sound tab up here. Then I first want to start with some panning. So what I'm going to do here is move the low snare a little bit over to the left. Let's move the high snare over to the right. And then I'll leave that third sound right in the middle. Now let's go ahead and change some of the levels. It's a good habit to sort of take one of these down at a time and see what it adds to the overall sound. If it's conflicting with the other parts, go ahead and just not use it at all. The next thing I'll do is add some effects. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the group level. That will sort of bust this to the group level. And then I'm going to go shift browse to get into the effects menu. And I'm going to add some compression. So I'll load that up. So let's see, just using the stock compressor, not even changing any parameters. Let's see what that sounds like. So I like what that's doing, just sort of gluing it together a little bit. And then I'll also add, let's see, a tiny bit of reverb if I can find it here. All right. So the compressor sort of glues the sound together, and then the reverb puts them all in the same space. You can get some interesting changes by moving the reverb before the compressor. I'll leave it like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and bust these down to the performance kit using the same internal sampling that we've been doing. So I want my snare to end up on this pad, so I'll go ahead and select that. Go into sampling, record internal, make sure I'm on my correct group, that's D in this case. And then I'm going to change it over to detect, start, press it again to actually get it recording. And now let's go ahead and play the snare. Stop that, and now we see we have the snare over here. we'll go ahead and bring the start point in. And we need to turn the amplitude envelope over to 1 shot. Okay. Okay, so all of that was basically the same process we used in the previous parts of this tutorial. We found a couple different sounds, we mixed them together using level and panning adjustments, we added effects on the entire group, and then we went ahead and bust them down using internal sampling. So a lot of this is the same process, but I'm just showing you different applications that you can use. So instead of using that process on the melodic sounds, I use it to create a nice layered snare sound. Now finally, let's go ahead and I want to add some reverb on this sound here. I'll copy it over first, duplicate over. I want to go ahead and add some reverb, so I'm going to go Sound tab, Shift and Browse. I am already on reverb. Oh, I accidentally overwrote the sample module. Let's go ahead. Select an empty module in the effects chain, Shift Browse, Load. And there we go. So I'll change these parameters to something reasonable. I don't want to drown out the hi-hat, but just adding some reverb on that puts all this in the same space and gives that sort of spacey vibe to the overall kit. So now you can go ahead and play the drums. And you can also bring in your samples. If you don't like how these drums are arranged, I might want to put the snare and the hi-hat in different positions. You could get familiar with using the duplicate option to move around samples really easily. So let's put my hi-hat over there. I'll put my snare over there and the hi-hat back over. And now I can go ahead and play it with one hand. So I like how that's sounding. Let's add this last sound. Let's just see what happens if we duplicate that over. This is my preferred drum layout for using one hand on the drums. I've got my kick, hi-hat, snare, and then a clap. And that allows me to do stuff like this. So that's a cool little layered snare and clap. And let's put this all together. I think it would be cool to make this super deep in reverb. Let's add that same reverb effect. I like how that is sounding quite a bit. So the drums are pretty simple, like I said. You can just directly import any samples, or if you want to layer or mix them, you can do that and then use internal sampling to layer everything down into one pad. So that covers it for adding the drums, and once we have these all set to go, the only thing left is some fine tuning with effects on the performance kit and maybe some mixing, but the bulk of the work is done, and in the next part of the series we will finish everything up and then maybe talk about some tips for how to play it. So thanks for watching this part, and stay tuned for the next one. I will see you on the next video.